Salute to the guy Bernard Hackett in the building.
How you gentlemen doing? How you all doing?
How's it going?
Great, we're doing great, sir. How you doing today?
Man, I'm doing good. Appreciate the opportunity to come on with you.
Yeah, I want to see if I can set this up. This thing right here is so weird. All right, we'll just do it like that. How you doing today, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. The beard looks thicker, man. You been growing the beard out a little bit?
Man, been growing it for a while, man. I cut it off once or twice and said, man, I'm gonna let it grow back.
No doubt, man. Good to see you, man. How's everything going? How's the family? The holidays went by. Everybody good? Were you good on Thanksgiving, or did you play yourself, man? What did you do to yourself?
No, man. I tried to keep it healthy but good. I ate. I'm not really a turkey guy. So I ate some beef brisket, and I had some oxtail, and I had some fish that my daughter made, and I had some vegetables. I had some broccoli and asparagus.
Wow. He put the vegetables in there. That was good. He slid the vegetables in there. He found a spot for him, but that brisket sound all right. So, man, it sounded like you had a good holiday, man. Everything is good, man. It's been a fun, like, the past year and a half, it feels like, with you guys. Jalil I don't know. Is Jalil a contender right now, or is he still a prospect? Because his record is only like 10. How do you look at Jalil at this point? Like, is he a contender as far as you're concerned at this point?
Let me say it like this. From my vantage point, I look at boxing as eras. Mm-hmm. The era in front of us, in my opinion, is the Charlos, the Boots Ennises, the Lauras, all of those guys who ushered in that time of the PBC, and everybody who came with the Bud Crawford time. Even Canelo, I don't consider him to be of their era. He's the era before them, along with Floyd. So for us, I'm looking at if people want to put him in the current situation. And when I say the current situation, if there was something that came up and they said, just an example, hey, we don't have an opponent for Carlos Adames, would you be willing to take that fight for the right price? Then that's him being a contender. But if you look at it from my vantage point, our era is the Xander Zayases, the Abdullah Masons, the Vargases. That era is the era that he is in. And in that situation, I think all of them, with or without a title, they're all still coming up because they have very youthful records. And if you were putting yourself as a betting man, and I say with all of them, don't exclude my son, they would all be the underdogs to those guys, or if nothing else, because of lack of experience.
I like that.
So it depends on the situation that he's in. If you put him in a situation where he's fighting a Charlo, then he's an up-and-coming young fighter getting a big opportunity, which may be too soon. If he's fighting an Emilio Vargas or he's fighting Xander Zayas, then he's a contender because both of them are at the same point in their careers.
I love that. Mr. Hackett. It's a very honest response and one that actually makes sense for people, especially a casual a sports fan, to understand how to actually see and picture where Jalil would be. Certainly, we just saw, guys, Brian Norman, who Ray called correctly, was not experienced enough to fight someone as experienced as Devin Haney. So yeah. Now, I was telling you, Mr. Hackett, for me, I was personally there to watch your son in Las Vegas at the Fontainebleau under Steve Bash Boxing for the Underdog Series. The opening of the gate to Zuffa Boxing in a lot of ways, because they were talking about how this is kind of what we're going to feel. The underdogs, everybody's going to fight. He had a very tough opponent in that fight, but what really showed with Jalil is his heart throughout the fight. A couple of times I was like, "Oh man, like this is getting hot." And for him to score that knockout, and for him to be so honest and raw with all of us in that arena, and everybody else who got to watch it on TV. It was such an honest, emotional moment. There wasn't one person in that arena that wasn't a fan of him. At that point, the people who didn't even know him were like, I don't know too much about Jalil's career, but now I'm going to look him up because I really like what he said, how he felt, what he was dealing with, and how he was able to conquer it all. So, can you speak on that emotion? Like, why was it so emotional for him and for you guys during that time?
In my opinion, I think Jalil is like most of the young fighters. And when I say like most of the young fighters, the Abdullah Masons, the Emilio Vargases and all of the Vargas brothers, they came up, in my opinion, they came up shielded. I mean, they didn't have to run the streets. They didn't have to do outrageous stuff. They were known as athletes. They weren't known as it's like a 5-star high school basketball player. He's known as an athlete. He's not known as anything else. That's what he's dedicated himself to. So they really haven't had a chance to develop their personality. And when I say develop their personality, who they are as an individual, not who they are as a boxer. So when they go from the amateurs to the pros, and if you're fortunate, I always say that, fortunate enough to be one of those guys that signed with a major, then you're almost trying to formulate the personality of the company that you're with so that you find your way of fitting in. And his first foray into the pros, he was with Mayweather Promotions. Great time with them. Have no bad with any of them. But I think Jalil was trying to fit the mold of the slick black boxer. I think Floyd Mayweather kind of accentuated that, like, hey, if you're around me, you're part of what I do, you are a slick black boxer.
Right.
And if you knew Jalil from the amateurs, that wasn't what he was. In the amateurs, he was a wrecking ball. That was what he was. People feared his power and his stamina as opposed to fearing his boxing ability. And when he tried to fit that mold or find himself a medium ground, when people would say things about, man, I like his boxing, but if you take his power and stamina away, he could be beat, he gets touched. It weighed on him. I'm trying to be everything you want. Then when he went to Matchroom, and I want to say shout out to Mayweather Promotions because he did win the WBC youth title under their banner. Then when he went to Matchroom Promotions, Matchroom, I think, is they're more decadent. And now it's like, how do I find my way in here? Because now I have to reformulate myself. And again, as a young person, and he's only 22 now, so we're talking about as a teenager.
Definitely.
It's kind of now, how do I re-identify? And once again, shout out to them because we won the WBA Continental title under their banner. But it wasn't his personal fit. It wasn't a fit. None of these companies are bad companies. Sometimes it's the best shoe, but the wrong size. And when he got a new team, a new advisor, new everything, the first thing I say about them is they said, we want to get to know you. And when he gave them the initial speech, the one that the practice speech that you give, they were like, nah, we want to actually know you.
Right.
And when they took that time to know him, they told him, be yourself. Just be you. And at that point in time, he was like, hey, I got a team around me that says be me. And if you're from the DC area, Jalil lives in Southeast Washington. We live in Southeast, love our neighborhood. But most of his friends through the amateurs and through life were Latino. And specifically Mexican. And he went to school at Cardozo High School. That is uptown Washington D.C. and everywhere has an uptown, and then they got a southeast. So
yes, sir.
y'all know
Yes,
that that's two different. Yeah, that's two different places.
So a little bit of a culture clash. A little bit of a culture clash.
Yeah. So y'all know what I mean.
Yes,
so
sir.
when he was up there, he always felt like I'm fitting in because these are my friends. And so when we would go to like California or Vegas, and then when he was back getting ready for his fight, those friends and people that knew him from boxing, when he was out there, we were out there for a week or so, they were like, when we gonna see the Jalil we remember growing up? And the guy that was just him, and he laughed, and they were laughing. They were like, for the first time, we saw laughter in him in a while. And he told me in the room, he was like, "Hey, Dad, look, I'm going back to being me." He said, "I'm going back to being me.
That's usually the best option.
I'm gonna be happy."
Yeah,
and when he did that, it was crazy. It's some of the people who know us, like some of our guys from out there, like Moscata and his guys, Coach Silas, his guys, and some of the other guys that know Jalil from the amateurs. They used to call him the Black Mexican as a little kid because he fought like a Mexican.
Right.
And that to him was the honor thing. Some of the other guys will laugh, well, you the black kid fight. But he grew up, for me, the best fighter I ever saw was have to split it between two. And that was Marvin Hagler and that was Julio Cesar Chavez. So me growing up with them and then teaching my son the sport, those were the guys that I would show him. I like Marvin Hagler for his resilience. Everything was against him. I'm cool with it. I'll take it and run with it, down to where he had to change his name because they would not announce him as Marvelous until he changed his name. But they announced everybody else by their nickname. And then Julio Cesar Chavez, he was a people's champion. The people, he was endeared and loved by the people because every time he fought with everything. And that was what I was telling my son, fight with passion. And because of that, he felt comfortable. And he was like, I'm going back to being me. I'm going back to being the Black Mexican. So when he fought, he did his thing. He won. He felt great. And it was like a stress. I didn't know he was going to do his interview like that. They actually told us, after you fight, there is no interviews, exit the ring. For some reason, they came in and interviewed him. And he just was being honest. He said, I'm free. I mean, I'm free.
Yeah.
And after that, he came back home, and I think I was in the house sleep or something. And when he came back in the house, he was like, I gotta show you something. And I'm like, oh boy, what does he have to show me? He done bought some tennis shoes that cost too much. He done did something. Right. He has a tattoo on his neck that says Negro Mexicano, the Black Mexican.
Wow. So, that's a statement. That's a big statement within itself. So let me ask you this, right? So because you talked about the Mayweather promotion part of the journey, and then you went to Matchroom. I don't know. The part of me kind of feels like you're putting Matchroom in the past a little bit, which has me wondering what the status is with Matchroom. But I want to slow down for a second and say, when you moved over to Matchroom, during that period between the Mayweather promotion period and the Matchroom period, there were offers on the table. I remember seeing Jalil kind of speak on a little bit this when you guys were kind of figuring out where you were going to go from there. What exactly was it about Matchroom in that moment in time that seemed to be the fit? I mean, you looking at MVP Promotions doing their thing right now. Obviously, there's whatever other promotional companies are on the table, but you guys picked Matchroom, and a lot of fighters are moving in that direction at that time. Boots moved over there. We saw Shakur work with them in a period of time. So even for me, from the outside looking in, it seemed like the best move you guys made. But for you guys personally, what were you looking for in this new promotional company? And even if you want to speak on what wasn't there at the Mayweather Promotions company that even had you moving on to look for another opportunity?
I think at the Mayweather situation, it wasn't a bad situation. It was just the time had run its course. Some relationships, as far as business wise, run their course. As far as a personal level, Jalil still talks to Floyd. Floyd was one of the first people that called him when he won his belt both times. Said keep moving in the right direction. On a personal level, I tell people all the time, this is what I say, and everybody might laugh. Floyd is the Snoop Dogg of boxing now. Snoop is Uncle. Snoop is Uncle Snoop to every single rapper on earth. No matter what company you with, you ain't got to be with Death Row, which he purchased. Shout out to Snoop. But he'll give you advice. If you catch him somewhere or you got a way to contact him, he'll give you advice. And you're not even one of his guys. And the advice don't benefit him, it benefits you. I think that's where Floyd Mayweather is right now. As the promoter, I think he's done so much in boxing where it might not just grab him the way that it once did. But as the person and knowing the whole script, I think him engaging with fighters on a personal level without the cameras is where he gets the biggest value. Every fighter goes and talks to him. Every fighter has done mitts or run with him or something. Every fighter has asked him questions about their deal. And Floyd doesn't need a bunch of cameras around to talk to you. So I think in that way, that next level of Floyd Mayweather he's the Snoop Dogg of boxing. He's that guy that's the uncle to every young fighter. If you can't get a door open for you, but it's that time for the door, if you can talk to Floyd gonna get that door open. And you'll talk to whoever you need to talk to. And he ain't ask you for nothing. He said, I don't want to be your manager. I don't be nothing. You needed a door open. So I think that was it for him, for Jalil. And that was a great time. Now moving to the Matchroom situation, just to be straight honest with you, shout out to Eddie and his team. We wanted the best opportunity to show that Jalil was separate from every other prospect, and we didn't want to wait. We wanted it immediately. And Eddie and his team said, hey, let's make it immediate. Your first fight with us, we'll give you something that puts you there. And they offered us the Pete Dobson fight for the WBA Continental title, and we took it. Pete was just coming off a 12-round decision loss to Conor Benn, which was a great fight. And Jalil was like, hey, I think this is the fight where I step all the way in the water. Me personally, I said, hey, Jalil, let's just take an introductory fight, and then maybe the next time, this is your first 10-rounder. Let's take a fight that might not be as tough for the first 10 rounds. You only got 8 fights. And Jalil was like, nah. He was like, nah, I'm really that good. He was like, his Instagram used to say, I am him.
Right.
And we got the Pete fight. He did what he was supposed to do in that fight, got the win. And then it didn't go bad. It was just opportunities that we wanted to do in different directions just weren't aligned with their cause. I think we spoke on it at a later date because, like I said, we never badmouth anybody that we work with. And we said Jalil asked for the Usman Lima fight a year before he fought Boots. Jalil asked for that fight.
Right.
At that time, they told us that the fight didn't have any value. The IBO title didn't do anything for Jalil's career. Okay, fine. And then we see a year later what happened. But I shout out to Boots and his team. That's my man. Boots a great guy. Him and Jalil have sparred a lot. His dad always give me good advice. But right now, Matchroom's only focus dealing with basically anybody is Jerron Boots Ennis, and rightfully so. He's a superstar, and that's that company's superstar. And if he's their Gladys Knight, the only thing we can be is a pip. And in that situation, we don't gain anything. We don't gain anything. So at that point, we had a great relationship with them. After our obligations were met to them, they still offer us fights. And if it's a fight that makes sense for us, then we can take it. Right. But we're not locked in, obligated. So if somebody else, like the opportunity that came from the Box Raw Doghouse sparring, which the Turk and his people were all invested in as far as the visual part for us, that came and we didn't have any reason not to. Want to say respect to Rashidi Ellis because I'm just being honest. It was a lot of guys with good names that were up there. Several of them were asked to spar with Jalil. They said no. Rashidi Ellis was asked to spar with Jalil. He was like, bet, let's get it in. So I give much respect to him because I'm gonna be honest with you. If Rashidi didn't spar with Jalil, Jalil wouldn't have got an opportunity to spar because the rest of the guys said no. And we weren't gonna spar with an amateur kid that nobody knows. Jalil sparking him don't do nothing for us either way. So we got that with Rashidi. It was great. They offered us the opportunity to fight in Las Vegas on their Doghouse card. And it was overwhelming. The whole situation, dealing with all of the people there, dealing with Steve Bash and his team, the Bash boxing team. Everything was first rate. Everything was very professional. No knocks at all. Everything was seamless. Jalil's happy he got the first complete knockout on their card. So that was big for him. And because of that, they got in touch with our team and said, hey, we got another opportunity to fight on the Steve Bash card, and that's the one we're fighting on now. So for us, we're in a great position, where I think we're in an amazing position because we're finally with a team that we fit. The other two teams we were with, they were not bad teams. I would tell any young guys, if they're the fit for you, sign with them.
Right.
But for us, it wasn't the fit. And now that we have what we consider the fit for him, and they're looking out for Jalil's best interests all the way around the board, we don't have to wear so many hats. So that's the beautiful part of it.
Yeah.
Mr. Hackett, can you speak to who? I mean, if it's okay with you, could you let us know who his new advisor is and who you're working with now in advising with Jalil?
Well, Ish is advising him, and most of the people know that boxing. Ish is the advisor with Bud Crawford. So, shout out to him. I mean, when we first spoke to him, he wanted to know about Jalil. Not too many people want to deal with any athlete and know about them. He wanted to meet with me, my wife, and Jalil. He was like, I'm not working with an individual, I'm working with a family. I want to know what I'm dealing with.
That's what's up.
Yeah, he said, I want to know what I'm dealing with. What are the issues? What are the problems? He didn't want Jalil's preset speech. He wanted to know about Jalil. Nice. What is it about you? And what can I do to make things better for you? And that was the part that really got me to say, hey, this guy cares about what direction you're going in. That was the big thing.
I like that. That puts a lot of perspective on you guys, right? And I like the way that you guys came around to enjoying that moment. I want to take it back to the Elijah Vines fight. Now, and I heard Jalil talking in the interview and telling him how they called him into that fight. It was kind of like last minute off of camp, and he was dealing with like an illness or something, which is great. And for him to perform the way he does shows a lot of praise to his character and his skill set. I just want to say, you know what I mean? With that being said, how do you think, if he has this full camp coming up in the next fight with a full camp, does he show us who he wants us who he wants for us to see in that ring? Because you said he's back to who he is, and I like the nickname, by the way. Tell him that tattoo. He gonna have to do this. He's gonna have to do it, because you know what? I respect it. You know what I mean? I respect it, and we always have big things to say about Jalil over here on this channel. And I know a few people that actually sparred with him personally. But I just want to say that he's showing to be something. And does he have any chances of staying at 54, or does he plan on moving to 60 in the near future?
Once again, I think it all comes down to maturation, and that is as an adult, maturation as his physical body, and opportunities. Like I said, when he first turned pro, anybody that remembers when he was a teenager sparring with Tank, he was small. And then out of nowhere, he just grew. And then out of nowhere, he grew again. It's like, hey man, can we kind of stop this?
Yeah.
Hey, look, I'm gonna tell you, if you have a young fighter and he grows and he's in the 30s, you're like, okay, cool, he in the 30s. Then he grows again and he's in the 50s or 60s. Then if he grow again, you say, hold up, you about to take us to the purgatory part of boxing.
Right.
If you ain't no full blown, no, if you after 168, if you ain't no full blown heavyweight, then you kind of in a limbo situation.
Yeah.
So it's like, please stop growing. Yeah, people don't think about that. You in a limbo situation. So, for him, we got to go on what his body does. Nobody controls the body except for the man upstairs. God knows what your size is going to be. But as long as he can physically make 154, then he's going to be at 54. I think people who follow Jalil recognize that at 47, he was gutting himself to make 47. And once again, he had a reason for it, and I couldn't go against his reason. I said, you're a young man, and if you want to do what you're doing, you got to mentally lock into it because it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. If you go back to when he was with Mayweather Promotions, you go that far back, and he posted something on his social media that said, I want to be the IBO champion because Floyd was the IBO champion. And a lot of people went back and looked and said, damn, Floyd did have an IBO title. So that to him was something like, hey, thanks, Floyd, for actually getting me and giving me an opportunity, because not everybody gets the opportunity to come out of the amateurs and sign with a major. A lot of young fighters, if you're a fan of a young fighter and he's fighting on club shows, please support him because he's probably selling tickets. Please support him because he's probably selling tickets. So, to be in a situation where you're with a Mayweather Promotions, a Matchroom, a PBC, any of them, and you don't have to sell tickets, then that's an opportunity that a lot of people don't get. So for Jalil, it was like, hey, I want to do something that make Floyd, even Floyd might have forgot about it. Say, man, I want a belt that you held. So that was his thing about standing at 47. The opportunity didn't present itself, but the opportunity presented itself to win a WBC belt as a youth title. So for him, that was something that he said, hey, I want to do this before I go.
Nice.
It's and that because the elephant in the room with Jalil Hackett is always for me going to be the weight. The talent is there, but it's always like you said, every time I see a camera hit him, it's like an evolution. It's like I don't know what's going on with him. He's growing. I notice it myself as a fan. Every time the camera hit him, I'm like, it's just a different person. It feels like at one point in time,
true.
it is. It's what it feels like.
Yeah, it's not. It's true.
Is that right? I mean, for you as his father, living with him, I'm sure you're just like, come on, man. I mean, come on, bro. Right?
You need more than bro.
You're doing a lot right now, bro. You're really growing out of control. But that being said, is there pressure there to have him accomplish things in these divisions before he leaves his division, as far as the weight and him growing and the plans that you have for him in that division? Or is that colliding a lot? You know what I mean? Like, we planned on doing this in this division, but it looks like we might have to start considering leaving this division potentially. Is there a pressure on you to, because I'm noticing, to speak to the elephant in the room as well, again, like you guys in 147, it seemed like you guys are almost trying to negotiate a Brian Norman Jr. situation at one point in time to kind of get in that WBO conversation, but that didn't work out because I'm assuming it's a weight thing. You went to 154, and now you're back in the conversation trying to get at a Xander. Seems like you guys are trying to accomplish things in the division before something happens, unforeseen happens. Is that a fair assessment from the outside looking in?
Yeah, that's not an unfair assessment. I have to be realistic. When he was an amateur, I controlled all the shots. Everything I said, that's what we're going to do. But he's a young man now. And as a young man, he has goals and things he wants to reach. So like I used to say, in the amateurs, he worked for me. In the pros, I work for him. And I have to help him get to the goal that he wants to get to. But I have to also be mindful that we have to be able to adjust. And I have to explain to him, like, some goals aren't attainable. And if they're not attainable, let's get to as close to the goal as you want. You wanted to be a welterweight champion. You want to be multiple division champion. Well, you did that. Because I had to convince him to move on. Eddie and them will tell you, he was like, I'm going to fight at 47 again. Like, come on, brother. We're not doing this with you. And I respect him for that. You won 2 belts at 47. You won 2 belts by 2 major organizations, a youth title, and you won a continental title. You outgrew it. Now you're at 54. the opportunity to fight somebody like a Xander Zayas come about, he's going to take it. It wasn't about the money. Bob Arum could have said, we offer you 200,000. That's all. He was still going to take it, go to Puerto Rico, do what he had to do. But I honestly think that at 54, he has a longer stretch where he can do 54. Like I said, for every fighter who's fighting, cutting weight hurt. It just hurts. Mm-hmm. And he's never had like a heart condition because of it. He's never been, depleted water-wise because of it. Everybody know they've been in camp with my son. He drank about 2 gallons of water a day, all the way up till it's time to do what we got to do. So, it's not that, but you do have to be aware that fighters are turning pro younger. Yeah. And the old system of things in the 80s, you would have been an opportunity for a title at the age of 28 to 30, more likely 30. Right. But now, because of the change in everything with boxing, you're having opportunities for guys in their early 20s to become champions, and they turn pro in their teens. Right. I think Devin is 27 now.
Yeah.
Yes. Devin,
I think he just had a birthday.
28. He's a 12-year veteran. In the process, he was 16. Crazy. He's a 12-year veteran. Right. So, he's an elder statesman, even though he's as young as he is. So, and I think with Devin, Bill had to go through this too. I think Devin looked spectacular physically at 47.
Yeah.
He looked spectacular. And even with that, they still talking about 54. Right. So his dad might know, hey, y'all saw him look good, but we may need to go somewhere else so he can look at his peak performance best. So every situation has a different cause for it. Everybody's physical makeup is made up different. You just have to find the sweet comfort spot for yourself and then be there. If he has the goal to win a 54 title and the opportunity presents itself, then of course he's going to take advantage of it. Yes. But if an opportunity presents itself to say, hey, Jalil, nobody wants to fight you at 54, but we got you an opportunity. Just use an example. We got your opportunity to fight Carlos Adames at 60. Then Jalil's going to say, I'm going to 60. I would advise him to, because we know we can stretch your run out at 60 even longer because you're leaving 54 early.
Right.
But in the perfect world with us, Jalil's one of those guys that has to set his sight. He's dogmatic in the fact of, if I have blinders on, I set my sights on something. Even if I don't get it, that's my motivation.
Right.
So for him right now, fighting Xander Zayas and making the biggest fight that can be made at 154, that will be the fight that he wants. And even if you consider the champions who are there now and the top guys, the only fight that will be 50-50 and they both do what they have to do in their next upcoming outing will be Jalil Hackett versus Xander Zayas. You won't get a 50-50 fight anywhere else. You're not going to say that Ortiz versus Boots is 50-50. You're not going to say Keith Thurman versus Fundora is 50-50. You're the IBF champion. We don't know when he's going to fight, but that's not a fit. Everything else across the board is a lopsided 70-30, 80-20 matchup.
Right.
I think the fans have grown sick of it. I think the fans are saying, stop giving us really expensive, predetermined fights.
Yes.
Give us something that makes sense where we're enamored over the two fighters. A 23-year-old Jalil and a 23-year-old Xander Zayas fighting each other. That gets the fans activated, because this could be the beginning of a rivalry.
Nice.
You're not going to see a rivalry between any of the current champions. Those guys are going to win a belt, move on, probably go up in weight, or they're going to win a belt, move on to fight somebody else. Then a lot of them close to retirement. We're talking about guys in their early 30s, some of them in their mid-30s. Keith Thurman on the back half of his 30s. That doesn't intrigue. Yeah, that doesn't intrigue fans. Fans really do want 50-50 matchups that have a lot at stake. And the only 50-50 matchup I will say, until something shows me change, is Jalil Hackett versus Xander Zayas.
Well,
it gives you
I want to say this. First of all, you're selling me on this. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't. I'm being so. I ain't gonna lie. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid right now. Right. I wasn't before. I'm not. I'm a very frank person. I was not jacking that fight before because it didn't make sense to me. But no, you're right. You know what I mean? Just when you look at their age and where they're at right now. I mean, Xander obviously going for a unification fight against Abbas at the end of January. That's clearly the bigger fish to fry for him.
Smart fight. Smart fight. I praise it. My son, like I said, I work for my son. I work for Jalil. He does not work for me. Right. Jalil tells me every time when somebody he wants to fight has a fight or he has a fight, I cannot berate them on social media. He's like, you cannot do it. So you haven't seen us say a word about Xander except for, hey, handle your business, champ. It's a great fight. That's all. My son respects the game. He tells me, he like, Dad, you a coach. You're in a fraternity of coaches. You've never been a fighter, but I've never been a coach. So you're in that fraternity. He said, I'm in a fraternity of fighters. And if he got a fight, especially unification coming up, he don't need me distracting him, and I don't need him distracting me.
Right.
Ooh,
I like that. By the way, it sounds like Jalil is yeah, man. I would love to speak to him too, obviously, because
we're gonna get a chance to. Obviously, we're gonna get a chance to. But what I will say is, Mr. Hackett, to you, speaking on that, I always ask this of fathers who also are the manager, who also are the coach, right, or the advisor. I always ask them this question where, and it seems like I don't even need to ask this of you because you two have such a great relationship. There's a separation. But I do ask that question, how is it that you can separate the two? You're his dad, but then you're his manager, and then you're his coach. You know, how you know what, do you kind of know what I'm asking?
No,
right?
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. I think it comes from a situation of I have plenty of kids. I have plenty of kids. He's the baby out of all his brothers and sisters. And the one thing I've learned over the education of being a parent is that you birth a kid, you raise a child, you respect a man. I birthed him as a kid, I raised him as a child. Now, as a man, I have to respect him and I have to ask him. Previously, I told him, but now I say, hey, what is it that you want to do? What direction do you want to go in? Where do you see yourself going? Because then he's giving me his input so that I can make the best educated decision for him.
Right.
I think a lot of times you have a dad that has guided his son and he'll say, why I guided you this far? I know what I'm doing. You just listen and follow my direction. And then they get mad if the son says, you don't know what you're doing because you've never done it with anybody else before. So you can't tell me that you know what you're doing when I'm the first person you ever did it with. Now, if I have another brother, if I have a nephew or cousin, anything, then you can tell him I know what I'm doing because you did it with me.
With me, yeah.
Right.
But if I'm the petri dish, I have to have so much faith in you that you're doing the experiment, but you're making sure that we check all the boxes before we put the components together.
Right.
That's the only way it works. Take away you're the father. If you're coaching a team and you're not the father of your star player, how are you going to handle your star player? Because he got a mama and a daddy. And if you ain't respecting him, his mama and daddy say, my son don't want to play for you no more.
Right.
So why not give your kid the same respect as you would give a star player and say, let me get his input?
Yeah.
Nah, that's legitimate. That is, I mean, I like the way you're. I hope that you come up here a lot more often, by the way. But very articulate and well thought out, man. And you got a son on your hand. A little joke went in my mind. I don't even know if it's appropriate, but I was like, this is why they didn't want the slaves to learn how to read. You know
no, you speak. That's appropriate. It's appropriate because I'm gonna tell you what somebody told me, and it's so crazy. I'm gonna tell you what, and I'm not gonna say who it was because everybody in the boxing world knows him. He said, "You know why your son not a star yet? As far as the big name, the belt, and everything." He said, "Because nobody controls you all. You all have a reputation that you don't take any upfront money. You're not gonna give me money, and then I owe you. You all have a reputation of you work extremely hard, and you have a reputation that everything you do, you think it out. And that's something that they hate. That's what they hate. They're like, if somebody controlled you that was on the inside of the tent, say your son would be a world champion right now. Say he have a title." And I actually find that to be very respectful because it's telling me that our integrity means a lot to us.
Yes.
And the person that ultimately has us working with them, if their integrity means a lot to them, then we'll be the perfect fit for them. So it's not that we haven't had our opportunity. If you look at Jalil's career, I don't know how many young prospects who started their career as a teenager has already fought, I want to say 2 or 3 southpaws and 4 or 5 fighters, either with undefeated records or 1 loss. And I can say none of them fought at least 2 guys who, at the time when they fought them, they had all knockouts. Jalil has done that.
Yeah, it seems like at times it seems like he's almost being fast tracked a little bit.
Yes,
that's what made me ask you the question about, like, you know, is there pressure there to accomplish these things? Is it a weight thing? I thought, like, is it like, yo, let's accomplish goals at 147, let's accomplish goals at 154? But with the way he's growing, it's like, is there time for him to accomplish those goals? Because he may outgrow the division before you get an opportunity to actually, you know what I mean, get a shot at these things, right? Like, is his career moving fast because he's growing so much?
No, like I said before, I think Jalil's career has moved the way it has because he's in both situations just based on timing. Just based on timing. Jalil has been a pip. He's never had a chance to be Gladys Knight. So when you're a pip, I want to be honest to people. When you're one of the pips, they offer you an opponent.
Right.
If you turn it down, they may offer you a second one. But in all reality, they say, hey, we'll get another fight for somebody else. So, but when you're in the Gladys Knight position, they're going to find the sweetest opposition for you to fight to build you into something that a lot of other people could have done. You know, my first comment when I saw one of the top 10 prospects under 25 before Jalil had a loss, I saw it and I asked them, how do you do this? Because at the time, I think we had fought 3 undefeated fighters. 2 of them had all knockouts, and we knocked both of them out. And you're telling me, I looked at some of these guys' records. They had dudes on there that was 3-11, 9-24. And y'all talking about he's the next guy? I'm like, okay.
That padded.
Okay.
That padded.
You know what I like about your statement?
Well, go ahead, because it's about that time to wrap it up, and I want to get
absolutely.
Some
I like the fact that you just said that he's the kicker, not the quarterback, right? The quarterback's always remembered before the game, after the game, in the presses, for everything. But the kicker wins the game, right? He's the hero of the moment. He's never remembered after that moment, but he's always winning, which I like that, right? That's a great resonation. Now, I did want to say this real quick. With boxing, this is a boxing fan question. With boxing being what it is, right? We know the glamour divisions. 154 is the best division in boxing to me currently, and I think a lot of us see it the same. How does it feel to actually have your son in the best division with probably the best elite fighters and most athletic fighters with power, and that he can be going up against to make a name for himself and be put on a pedestal with great talent in the sport?
I find it to be a great opportunity. I think my son is one of those guys that rises to the occasion. You know, I'm more scared if he fights a guy that has an upside down record than I am with a guy who's undefeated.
Love it.
Because you know, big players get up for big games. You know, that's just, you know, you had Rajon Rondo who would average 17, but then you had playoff Rondo who would go off for 35. The big guys come up in the big games, and for him, I think that's it. The one thing I do love about boxing, though, it has eras and it has financial separations. You will 99.9% not see Jalil fight a Charlo because Charlo gets $7 million a fight. Jalil is a long way from being a $7 million fighter.
Right.
That's just the reality of life. Abdullah Mason, a long way from being a $7 million fighter. Xander Zayas, a long way from being a $7 million fighter. So some of those guys, they'll still be able to look up to, and in a lot of situations, they'll be able to go in sparring and camps with those guys. Hey, you know, they're not millionaires yet. You know, Xander may be becoming a millionaire's next fight. Abdullah may become, but in order to be a consistent millionaire, you got to have a couple of million because Uncle Sam eat that up into a couple of 100,000 real quick. So those guys still will take 20,000 to go to camp, 15,000. See, they'll still take that. So they get those opportunities to be an OJT guy, you know, on the job training. I get to go in there, work with these guys because boxing has a thing about itself where it will always protect itself, meaning the sport. So the sport is not the sport does not allow too many people to jump the line. When I say jump the line, you're not going to be a 20-year-old world champion at 154 pounds because they're not going to let you jump that far up the line and let a guy who might be on the way out the door in 2 or 3 years knock off a guy who could have been the next door for 2 or 3 years. Right. And that's how I look at it. I'm not looking for a fictional fight with Jaron, who's trying to become undisputed, with the Charlos, who are still doing their thing. I'm looking at a realistic fight where Jalil and Xander are not just somebody's undercard. They are the main event.
That's what's up. I like it.
Question, Mr. Hackett. First of all, are you a boxing fan? Are you watching
100%.
boxing? You're watching boxing right now? Okay, so we got a card coming in tomorrow, right? And we're about to close the show soon, right? Because I got, believe it or not, I got to go to work. So
I say respect.
How you feel about this card this weekend? And I mean, the 4 main fights, right? For me personally, obviously, Esau Cruz, Lamont Roach, O'Shaquie Foster, Stephen Fulton. Unfortunately, we're not getting Arizlandi and Janibek, but I'm also interested in the return of Frank Martin to see what he's going to look like. But specifically with the Stephen Fulton, O'Shaquie Foster fight, how are you looking at that fight right now with Stephen Fulton missing weight? Does that sway your where you're leaning? How do you feel about that fight?
Honestly, okay, I'll be
yes,
honest.
Sir. Hey, you're a very honest person, Mr. Hackett.
I like that. Look at his cheese.
I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest. When you talk about guys that could be making, I don't know, they're making between $3 and $7 million.
Yeah.
I ain't mad at Cool Boy Steph. I ain't mad at him. Steph probably couldn't make the weight. He got to the point, he got as close as I could without detriment to myself. And he said, hey, what I got to give him? 25%? If you just do the math of the fight, if you're making $10 million for this fight,
right,
and if you don't fight, you're making $0 million,
right,
and you miss weight by 1 pound, 2 pounds,
right,
and you got to give him 25% of your money, $2.5 million. After you give him the 2.5, and you're still at your best, but you tried to get into the weight, and you go out there and you beat him, you still saw 7.35 million. And then you move up in weight, still having a great victory over a great fighter. How did you lose?
Right.
And so O'Shaquie Foster made weight. He looked amazing. So he's at his peak performance best. If Stephen Fulton got as close as he could, hey, I can't get no more off, then he'll be at his peak performance best. You're still going to see a great fight, but only one man can walk out with 2 belts. And the other man didn't make a difference in walking out with 2 belts because I can't make the weight no more, no way.
Right.
So I just look at it like that. I just think that the money determines certain things. You fighting $1.5 million, you might not make the weight. You might say, I'm not even gonna take the fight, I'm gonna move up. But when the number gets large enough, I gotta get as close as I can. If I lose on the scale, so be it. I'm gonna fight. The main thing is I gotta come out with the win, and I can move up to the next division. And that doesn't hurt O'Shaquie, because O'Shaquie will be right back in there for one of those same 2 belts in his very next fight. If O'Shaquie wins, then we have Stephen Fulton saying it was too much on my body, I'm moving up.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
yes,
so
sir.
that,
Hey, Mr.
well, that being said, one more thing, right? Because I gotta speak on the DC native that's involved in the main event in this fight. DC is not that big of a city. I know that it's all over the place, but Roach has done his thing. He did his thing with Tank. He's on the map now, and everybody wants this to be the litmus test for him, right? Like, what happened with Tank? Was that a fluke? Was that an off night for Tank, or is Roach really the goods? He has Isak Cruz in front of him. Are we holding DC down in this fight, or you just?
I think Lamont is going to go in there and be a brilliant boxer. I think as a team, they think, and if you're thinking, you say, okay, let's go in here and let's secure the win. I tell everybody, pro boxing at the world championship level is the NCAA basketball tournament. It's March Madness. Win and move on. I don't care how ugly it is or how beautiful it is. At the end, you got the W, you can move on. If he gets that win, that's over a super high quality fighter who everybody knows is a dangerous puncher. Yeah. If he goes in there, I think if he goes in there and puts on a boxing clinic over 12 rounds and gives you highlight after highlight, round after round, to me, it's better than if he goes in there and gets into a war, come out as the winner, but they're saying he went to war. I think this is where the concept of intellect makes the biggest sense. He's stepping up. He saw Cruz, who's been there, who's been known as a big puncher. Let's see if you can intellect your way around him, as opposed to try and brute strength him. I think if he does that, then he will have his hand raised, and he will give you 12 beautiful rounds of highlight material that you will see on the internet over and over again. Every knockout ain't great if I only give you 30 seconds of highlight material, because after I saw the 30 seconds, how many times can I watch it? Right. But if you get 12 rounds where each round he gave you something statement or highlight, you can watch that over and over again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I like that.
Hey, before we go, we want to thank you, Mr. Hackett, for your time. I know that you're in the middle of a strong training camp right now with Jalil. If it works out, because I know with Jalil, he's a very focused fighter. He does kind of remind me a lot of Marvin Hagler. He's a very focused young man, especially when it gets to fight week. If we can create a special time, and he's free, I'll talk to you about it after the show on a Sunday when training camp is all wrapped up before you guys travel. I do think that it's amazing that your next fight, the theme of it is mental health awareness. You're fighting on that Friday night right before the Saturday event with Noel Mikhailian versus Badu Jack for the Cruiserweight Championship. Jalil's going to be there. I know Justin Valoria is going to be there. A lot of the same players from that Underdog series in Las Vegas. Best of luck on everything. And I know you guys are really going to put it all together, put everything together and shut everybody down. Do you know if there's any chance for us to watch it anywhere? Is it on UFC Fight Pass, or are we just going to have to wait?
I know they're saying it's going to be streamed somewhere. When I get that information, I will make sure I get it to you. Yes, but sir. It is going to be streamed somewhere. I just don't have all the details as of yet. Yes, but I'll make sure as soon as I get it, I'll make sure that you have it. And yes, that'll be done. Want to just say one last thing. If you look back at Jalil's career, this isn't a one-off. If you go back, I think 4 fights ago, he came into the ring and he had on a T-shirt that said, "It's okay not to be okay." He's really big when it comes to mental health. So anybody who's struggling with it, anybody who has a family member that's struggling with it, get them help. Get them help as soon as possible. It's not a game. It's not nothing to play with. mental health is a disease that is just as contagious as anything else, and it's contagious to a family because they all go through the mental disease with you.
Yes,
so
sir.
it's not anything to joke about. If you can't reach anybody, I will say this. I am one of those people who go through it with my son, the ups and downs of dealing with it. I've had people reach out to me. If I can help you in any type of way, shoot me a DM on IG, and I will do what I can to point you to where you can go get help. Because it's not fun to watch a family watch somebody deteriorate mentally.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That's
a major fact,
right
man.
there. That's what's
always
up.
doing the mental health checks, man. I try to do it. I tell people, man, you got to. You never know, bro. You never know. The surface isn't the end all be all. What's going on under there? Yeah, it's good. It's good to know, man. I appreciate you stopping through, Mr. Hackett. I hope to see you again. I like to just build on just boxing, the current space of boxing with you, not just Jalil. You showing yourself
anytime,
brilliant mind.
Anytime.
Yes, sir.
Ray know how to get in touch with me anytime.
Yeah.
I like good people. You know, I think your mind flourishes when you feed it good things. So if I can have conversation with good people, I'm always open to it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you again for your time, sir.
You have a great one.
Tell Kevin to say what's up.
Man,